Hey everybody. Before we get into the video, I just quickly wanted to start off by thanking not just my 150 plus subscribers, but also each and every one of you guys for tuning into my channel in some way, shape, or form, no matter how big or small. I actually planned for this video to be a 100 subscriber special, but my growth has just been faster than I ever expected. I created this channel all the way back in 2017 and didn't really have the confidence to try to create content until July of this year. To hit a milestone such as 150 subscribers in only 5 months, starting from nothing, it truly means a lot to me, and I can't thank all of you enough. Not trying to get too deep or personal with this, but I struggle a lot with social anxiety and self-deprecation, and creating this YouTube channel was the first major step I took to just kind of create a safe place where I could be myself and talk about things that interest me, as well as try to be as entertaining as possible. I promise now that I've started to kind of grow my channel, I'll start to invest a little bit more into it monetarily. Starting off with a face cam and a new mic, which you'll probably see end of this year, beginning of next year. Like, there are times where I'm editing a video and I hate how the mic in my headset sounds. Sometimes it sounds like absolute ass for no reason. But truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for sticking with me and liking what I make here. Now, with all the deep sentimental stuff out of the way, let's get into, presumably, why you're all here. Hello everybody, Sinyx Pipe Dream here, and today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, as you can probably already tell by what you're looking at right now. So, if you don't know what this site is, then you're lucky to have stayed innocent for as long as you have. This is Fur Affinity, basically a site where furries post their art and whatnot. You've got images, videos, music / sounds, I guess, as well as writings. Now, the reason why I'm even on this site in the first place is because I stumbled onto a specific story that deals in part regarding my favorite money-making app, as well as what most of my current content is about, Atlas Earth. This very special story is titled Atlas Mouth by user D1313. Yeah. And believe it or not, I happened to stumble upon this story merely by chance about a year ago. So imagine me 1 year in the past, browsing Fur Affinity like any normal person does, and D1313 is someone whose stories I've read in the past. I actually found him on DeviantArt way back in like 2018, and then when I learned he also had an FA account, I decided to create an account and see what he had over here as well. Like, he is the reason why I even have an account on the site in the first place. Now, D13 is one of the many artists out there that focuses on, shall I say, niche fetishes, commonly called paraphilias, which are atypical sexual interests. Mr. D13 here mainly focuses on two distinct paraphilias in his stories: macrophilia and vorophilia. Macrophilia focuses on a sexual interest in taller or giant beings. Think of Godzilla, which, of course, because this is Fur Affinity, you can be damn sure you'll find a bunch of art of him being posted here. Vorophilia, on the other hand, is the interest in eating or being eaten by another creature. Think of that one scene in the movie Nope, but instead of watching it in horror, you're like, ah, that's hot. Most commonly, the creature doing the eating, or predator as they're usually referred to in this kind of art, consumes the other creature, often called the prey, whole and alive. This is tagged as soft Vore, where the prey is ultimately left unharmed after the ordeal by whatever random or magical means the artist comes up with. On the contrary, hard Vore is where the prey is ultimately killed by the pred, either through chewing or digestion in the stomach. There's a whole bunch of different types and complexities to Vore to describe specific scenarios. You've got same-sized Vore, where both the predator and prey are around the same height, and the pred ends up with a big old rotund belly that some people like. Size difference Vore is where the predator is bigger than the prey and is more realistic. It is often paired with the macrophilia fetish, as mentioned before. And I can't forget to mention all of the many subcategories. Basically, if an orifice exists, there's Vore of it. Nasal Vore? I mean, I'm definitely not one to kink shame, but why? Tail Vore? Okay, now we're really pushing the boundaries on what an orifice is. What the hell? Anyways, that's probably all I'm really able to talk about here without YouTube smiting my channel into oblivion, and you've probably learned enough to be scarred for life. In conclusion, the most common type of Vore is oral Vore, or entering through the mouth via eating, and this is what this Atlas Earth themed story is about. Now again, let's rewind back to a little over a year ago. I'm browsing Fur Affinity, like you do, and decided to check out D1313's profile. I see that he's published a new story called Atlas Mouth, and I'm basically like, that's an interesting title. That would be really funny if it was about Atlas Earth, but there's no way that it is. And then I go and read the description, and it goes as such. This is a little something I decided to write for 8-8. Get it? 8-8-8-8. It's National Vore Day for furries. Sure, it's a bit early, but I have to work that day, so I decided to just post this now. It stars the dragons Kara and Tiana and their mouse friend Connor, and in it, Tiana introduces the others to a Vore-themed game app. The app in question is a parody of a real-life mobile game called Atlas Earth, and at this point, I'm like, holy fucking shit, it is about Atlas Earth. And I think I laughed for about a minute straight just because of how surreal that someone looked at Atlas Earth and said, nice, but make it Vore. It's a relatively harmless app in which you use an in-game currency to purchase parcels of land on a digital version of the real world. It's harmless, relatively speaking. Just don't go expecting to make it rich with it. Be smart if you ever download it. Anywho, I just couldn't resist coming up with a Vore-themed parody of the app. And then he goes into his Patreon link. So after reading that, I was super excited to see what this story was all about. And I hope you all are excited and probably morbidly curious to find out as well. But before I get into it, if you're having fun and finding some entertainment right now, don't forget to give this video a like or subscribe to my channel for more content, both formal and informal such as this one. And if you do, make sure to click the notification bell icon so that you don't miss any fun content such as this. Now, disclaimer time. This story is thankfully about as tame as you can get with Vore and has a general rating on Fur Affinity, meaning there technically isn't any explicitly lewd or not safe for work content. Though that's highly debatable since I don't think you want to be caught reading this in your place of work. In fact, the story is tagged with the following. Dragon, anthropomorphic, dragoness, mouse, macro, micro, macro, safe, safe Vore, soft Vore, pred, and prey. Now my plan is to read this entire story for you all here and sometimes interject with my reaction or thoughts about what we just went over. It's a relatively short story, coming in at just over 3,000 words, so like a fucked up college essay in a sense. As I said, I've read this story already, and basically I'd give this around a PG-13 rating in terms of content suitability. There's nothing bad or explicitly sexual in anything here, but at the end of the day, it's still a fetish story, and it was made with that kind of stuff in mind. So I'll just say proceed with some caution and to not read or listen to me read it for that purpose. Do it for silly fun, like what I do. So, with all that said and done, let's finally get to experience the virtual world of Atlas Mouth. The mouse was caught. There is no escaping his fate now. The dragoness had chased him all over the place, and now he'd finally tired himself out. She loomed triumphantly overhead as he lay panting on his back. Her toe digits wriggled. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that Mr. D13 here is also a fan of feet. Her toe digits wriggled in anticipation as she reached down to pluck her prize off the floor. The mouse's arms dangled free as he beheld her muscular legs, then her thighs, then her powerful arms, and finally her head. The dragoness laughed malevolently as the mouse was lifted up to her eye level. She was like a tower of deep red scales, while he was little more than a white puffball. "You're doomed, little morsel," the dragoness said evilly. "I told you that you couldn't run forever." "Oh, please," the mouse whimpered. He clasped his hands together and shivered as he looked into her eyes. "Please spare me." "It's too late for that, hero," the dragoness cackled. She lifted him up above her head and let his limbs dangle free. She gave a show of licking her sharp fangs. The mouse squeaked in fright as he looked down at her waiting goal. "You're doomed, mousie," the dragoness declared. She tilted her head back and licked her chops once more. "There's no fate for you, save for becoming padding upon my—" "Hi, Kara!" Kara yelped in surprise. Tiana burst through the door. The red dragoness flung both her arms up in shock, and it was only a moment later that she realized she tossed the mouse into the air. In a panic, she looked skyward and clamped her jaws shut in hopes of spotting him. Plop! The mouse landed flat upon the bridge of her snout. Her eyes were wide as she stood still and struggled not to move too much. Meanwhile, the mouse grunted as he picked himself up and rubbed his head. "Oh, geez," Kara grimaced. "Are you okay, Connor?" "I'm fine," the mouse said as he tried to find his bearings. His eyes were doing circles as he stumbled to the left and right a bit. Kara gently scooped Connor off her snout and delicately moved him down to the coffee table by her side. Once she confirmed that he was alright, Kara growled in frustration and whirled around. "Damn it, Tiana!" she snapped. Tiana grimaced as she stood in the doorway of the living room. She'd sheepishly stood waiting the entire time Kara was tending to her mouse friend. "How many times do I have to tell you not to sneak up on me like that?" Kara demanded as she crossed her arms over her jacket. "You ruined the moment!" "Oh, sorry." Tiana nervously rubbed her head. "Were you and Connor doing one of your adventure role plays?" "She's getting good at them," Connor said with a smile. Kara tried to maintain a glare through her blushing, but deep down she was proud of how well she'd done for Connor. The mouse was one of Kara's closest micro-friends, and she loved gobbling him up after a little play session. Also, I forgot to mention there's a little bit of terminology for macrophilia. Macro is the word for like a big creature, so basically Kara and Tiana in this story, and a micro is a smaller creature, basically Connor the mouse. "Oh hey," Tiana's eyes sparkled as she stuck a talon in the air. "If you two are looking to play around, maybe you'd like to try out a new app for your smartphones." "I'm not exactly in the mood to slide puzzle boxes around," Kara said as she snorted. "No, wait, it's actually really cool." Tiana's tail wagged as she walked around the coffee table. "It'll be perfect for augmenting your role plays." Tiana reached into her pocket and pulled out her own phone. Kara and Connor just looked at each other in confusion as the yellow dragoness swiped away. "I think you guys will like it," Tiana smiled. "It's this brand new game that's been making waves on the Predaverse." That's very clever. Instead of the metaverse, it's the Predaverse. Get it? That's a good one, Deeth. Kara blinked in confusion. "Preda what?" "It's some kind of sciencey tech thing," Tiana shrugged. She wagged her tail once more before holding her phone out. "Alright, here we go. Check this out." Tiana held her phone out for the others to see. They squinted their eyes and exchanged glances. "So, what do you think?" Tiana asked. "At last," Kara read aloud dubiously. "Mouth?" "Uh-huh," Tiana nodded. "I think you guys will like it." "And how much does that thing cost?" the mouse asked. "It's free," Tiana said, though her smile weakened. "Ish." "Ish?" Kara raised an eyebridge. "Well, don't worry about that part." She rubbed her upper arm. "Just give it a try, guys. I promise you won't have anything to lose." Kara and Connor exchanged glances again, and then sighed. Tiana's face was just too eager and innocent for either of them to shut her down. And besides, perhaps it would be worth it to find something new to make their Vorish role-playing more varied. 10 minutes later, Kara and Connor were fumbling with their respective phones as the app slowly downloading. "What kind of game did you say this is?" Kara asked as she fidgeted with her icons. "It's sort of a real estate kind of thing," Tiana said. "Real estate?" Kara snorted. "Do either of us look like realtors to you?" "It'll make sense in a minute, just trust me." The yellow dragoness looked between them both. "You'll love it." "Uh-huh." Before long, both Kara and Connor had gone through the registration sequence. The same catchy tune from Tiana's phone was now coming out of their respective speakers. They saw digital representations of themselves standing around on a vast, strange grid. "So," the mouse scratched his head, "what exactly are we supposed to do with this?" "It's an app that lets you scan the mouths of any macros who are going to eat you," Tiana chirped. "Man, this imaginary app is way more advanced than Atlas Earth. Like, imagine instead of just your astronaut character, you could just full-body scan yourself into the app. I don't think anything like that exists, so that would probably be pretty hard to do. Here, hold it up to Kara." Okay." Tiana picked Connor up, who pointed his phone towards Kara's snout. The red dragoness stood nervously still as the mouse phone made some sort of odd noise. "Okay, now Kara, open your mouth as wide as you want," Tiana insisted. Feeling sheepish, the red dragoness gradually opened her maw before the mouse. Connor's face flushed red. He loved staring into her pretty mouth. But he soon found himself looking at a strange 3D render of the same mouth on his phone. After clicking a button, a little message popped up. "It's asking me if I want to..." Connor raised an eyebrow as he read it aloud. "Buy Kara's mouth?" "What?" Kara clamped her jaws shut in alarm. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It's not a purchase of your literal real-life mouth," Tiana said. "It's more like an avatar version that represents the real you. Any micro user can purchase a duplicate of your mouth, all for the low cost of 100 Vore bucks." Fucking Vore bucks. "Excuse me, what?" Kara looked at Tiana dubiously. $4? That's just what they're called, Tiana shrugged, before looking down at Connor. The game gave you 100 VB for free upon logging in, so try buying Kara's digital mouth. Okay? Connor shrugged. So what does that do? I'll explain in a minute, but first, Tiana looked at Kara again. It's your turn. Lift up your phone and scan Connor. You're not seriously expecting me to make a digital copy of this teeny little mouse maw, are you? Kara balked. No, it's a digital copy of Connor, Tiana giggled. Try it out. He's worth the same amount of VB. VB instead of AB is crazy. Connor put his hands at his sides indignantly, while Kara just shrugged. She held her phone to scan the mouse, and soon enough she saw a pastiche of him on her screen. So how does this app differentiate between, like, a macro and a micro? Can it, like, recognize if it's on, like, a tiny phone instead of a big one? I guess that kind of doesn't really make sense, but whatever. This is... I don't think realism is a major part of this story, or any kind of story like this. The same prompt then appeared, and Kara spent her 100 VB on the digital Connor. Okay, that's done, Kara shrugged. Now what? Well, now you eat him, Tiana giggled. Get him in your belly, and we'll work from there. Ah, at least we're finally getting to the real fun part now. Kara looked down at the mouse and gave him a toothy grin. So you want to pick back up where we left off, hero? Sorry, Kara, the moment's passed for the roleplay. The mouse stepped up closer. But you can go ahead and nom me. Kara was a little disappointed that Connor wasn't in the mood for playing the scared little morsel, but she wasn't about to pass up enjoying her favorite flavor. She offered Connor her free hand, and he stepped aboard to hold onto her thumb. Kara brought the mouse to her mouth. She salivated in anticipation of enjoying her favorite treat, at least for a minute, before she realized that Tiana was still in the room. Do you mind? Kara glowered slightly. It's kind of weird seeing you watch. Oh, sorry. Tiana blushed and snickered. She turned around and covered her eyes with a hand. Didn't mean to spoil the moment again. Despite the strange detour with the weird phone app, Kara and Connor were just happy to have their friendly bonding time together. Connor wrapped his arms around Kara's tongue as she tasted him all over. She swished him against her cheeks and inspected every inch of his fur, just as she'd done with him time and time again. She loved listening to his squeaks of delight and feeling him nuzzling her tongue. He was her tasty little treat, and neither of them would have it any other way. Once the moment of tasting the mouse was over, it was time to send him down. Kara repositioned Connor so that his feet were pointed toward her throat. She then carefully tilted her head back slowly and steadily so that he would slide in with full control. And when he was finally ready, glurk! Down he went as smoothly as butter. Kara parted her jaws and exhaled as she used her finger to trace the bulge of Connor. Trace the bulge. She used her finger to trace the bulge Connor made in her throat. The bulge vanished beneath her bosom, and Connor was soon deposited into the familiar confines of Kara's belly. He finally tucked away? Tiana asked. Kara snorted. Once again, the moment was ruined. Of course he is. Great! The yellow dragoness chirped. She held up her phone and called Connor's number. Time to tell him what comes next. For a moment, Connor was in bliss. He was tucked away in Kara's storage stomach. So this is one of the ways that software gets away with not having to worry about digestion. So usually it's either like the pred can control their stomach acids for some reason. Oh, I have a storage stomach also instead of an actual stomach. Or just any random stuff like that. So when someone says like storage stomach, that's why. A sort of home away from home. The walls were bright pink with bioluminescent arteries running along the muscles. The steady thumping of Kara's heart soothed his little mouse mind, and he'd shut his eyes in preparation of getting a nap in. And then his phone rang. With a grunt, Connor pulled his phone out of his pocket and looked at it. Tiana was calling him via FaceTime, and she seemed pretty eager to chat. Hey, you settled in? She asked sweetly. Yeah, I'm fine. The mouse sat up and rested his back against a belly wall. What's up? I just wanted you to double check the app now that you've bought Kara's maw, Tiana giggled. I think you'll be surprised by what you see. Connor shrugged and switched his phone over to the Atlas Mouth app. After a loading screen, he saw his digital avatar sitting in the middle of a poorly rendered iteration of Kara's stomach. He looked at the top of the screen and noticed a very strange number. There were mostly zeros, followed by digits that seemed to change at random. But upon closer inspection, he noticed that it was actually increasing gradually with every second. What's this number? He asked Tiana via the FaceTime. That's your rent. Connor blinked. Rent? Yeah, the yellow dragoness nearly giggled again. For every digital maw you purchase, you're paid rent every second, and it's in real-world currency. Huh? The mouse double-checked the increasing number. Real world? Yeah, Tiana nodded eagerly. For every digital maw you purchase, you get paid a little bit more rent in dollars, and you can even check to see which properties you own and their values. Connor scratched his chin. He looked at the gradually changing number and noticed a very small decimal point off towards the left. Feeling curious, Connor flipped through the options to check the value of Kara's digital maw, and he wasn't quite impressed by what he saw. Tiana, Connor said with a groan, this says that Kara's maw is worth 0.00000000011. Ah, Tiana nodded. Sounds like her maw is Meryl common rate. Excuse me? Kara snapped. Connor couldn't see her on his phone screen, but he could hear her voice up above as her belly shook. Why am I only common? Hey, I didn't make the rankings, Tiana shrugged. The program itself decides whose maw is worth what. So, does this app just have like a database of every single person? I feel like that's an invasion of privacy. Plus, there are ways you can upgrade your ranking, but that can wait until later. Hey, is that kind of like a legendary parcel upgrade? Actually, this story came out like right after legendary parcel upgrades were implemented, so I'm guessing that's actually what this is referencing. Right, Connor rolled his eyes. He double-checked the weird number, then scoffed. Still, I guess this is very neat. I suppose I'll earn myself a penny in a few weeks. Oh, but you've only just started on the game, Tiana said. It comes with a whole host of mini-games you can play to earn more VB, so you can go and buy more digital maws once you're out of there. So, I mean, since Connor and Kara are kind of a thing, wouldn't that kind of be like cheating on her if he was buying other people's mouths? Like, he'd have to go to the person, scan their mouth, and I guess get eaten by them? I have no idea. I mean, I'd feel like that would constitute as cheating, so I don't know. That's not happening anytime soon, Kara said. She patted her belly, making things shake around Connor. He's my little guest for the rest of the day. True, but hey, that's plenty of time to enjoy those minigames, Tiana snickered. Well, okay, the mouse shrugged. I guess I'll check those out. Don't forget to rub my belly walls, mister, Kara scolded playfully. Connor tried not to smirk at that. That was always how their playful banter went after he was tucked away. So he ended his FaceTime and stood up to turn and place a hand on the belly wall. As he was rubbing, Connor used his free hand to swipe through the options on his phone. He had himself a look at the various minigames. Most of them were puzzle-based, and each one offered varying rewards. The mouse shrugged and set to playing a box-pushing game as he massaged Kara's stomach. So I'm guessing D13 kind of got confused at what the minigames actually were. What he described here is more akin to the Atlas Arcade, where you download a separate game and then get rewarded for passing like different milestones or beating a certain level. The minigames are actually real-time events where you gotta sit and play a timing-based game for 2 hours straight. I'm guessing Connor wouldn't do very good at them because I don't think he'd have a really good connection considering he's in a stomach right now. Not how he expected to spend his private time, but at least it wasn't a deal breaker. Kara sighed in satisfaction as she felt her little friend rubbing away. She patted her stomach affectionately before settling into the couch. It was almost a perfect moment, but Tiana was still there, smiling at her and her phone. So why does it seem like both Kara and Connor like hate Tiana? Like, why is she like third wheeling them? Justice for Tiana, am I right, guys? Tiana doesn't deserve this. What did she do? Alright, geez, Kara sighed as she lifted up her phone. What else do you want me to do with this app thing? There's more than one way to earn rent than pred maws. Tiana's eyes beamed. Check your screen. You're making money right now. Oh? Kara looked at the number at the top. Sure enough, she was earning a teeny tiny fraction of a cent every second, and all of it off the crude 3D render of Connor. The red dragoness snorted and looked back at her friend. So, what, I'm making rent off of every micro I send to my belly? Uh-huh, Tiana said eagerly, but only if you buy each one via the VB. So make sure you try out those minigames from time to time to earn them. Kara looked down at her phone and watched the number gradually increasing. She scratched her chin and looked back at Tiana. So where's that money coming from anyway? I know it's barely a tiny piece of a penny, but if that's still real, then someone's losing cash. It's a little complicated, Tiana replied. The creator of the app has some kind of deal with the governor. It's part of some kind of initiative to encourage macros and micros to have safer Vore relations without ending in digestion. Say what now? Yeah, you only get money off of each rented micro if they still exist, Tiana continued as she sat down. If a micro is made a permanent addition to someone's hips, that money dries up. So, let me get this straight. So you buy the micro, and they make you rent, but do they only make you rent if they're in their stomach? Or if they just exist? Like, couldn't someone just sabotage everyone else by just killing someone and then their rent decreases? Like, oh my gosh, one of my properties just got erased because some micro that I bought a year ago just died. That's kind of morbid, but I guess we'll never know. I see. Kara looked at her phone and grimaced. Well, I already have all the motivation I need to keep my buddy Connor around. This app isn't really necessary. Oh, but I didn't tell you about the best feature. Tiana's eyes lit up. There's a professional ranking system for the most popular preds. There is? Yeah, Tiana swiped through her phone. If more micros rent your Momma, your ranking goes up. Not only do the micros make more money off of you, but you make more money off of them. And the ones at the very top get all sorts of additional bonuses. You don't say, Kara raised an eyebridge. Out of curiosity, what is your ranking at, Tiana? The yellow dragoness swelled with pride. She swiped around a bit on her phone and proceeded to present it to Kara. Upon seeing the top number, Kara's jaw nearly hit the floor. You're making that much per second? Well, that's the total stored up, but it is quite a bit, Tiana snickered. And how long did you say this map was on the market for? Oh, it just launched last week. What? Kara looked between Tiana and the phone. Then how the hell are you already so far up in the rankings? Well, Tiana's cheeks flushed pink. I've been a little busy. Kara gave Tiana a funny look. She then shook her head and put her phone away before standing up. Okay, I think I've had about enough of this Atlas mouth nonsense for one afternoon. Kara stretched her arms over her head. I'm just going to enjoy carrying Connor around a bit more before I let him out. Well, okay, Tiana said as she nodded. If you need anything, I'll be out on the balcony. Sure. The yellow dragoness stepped outside, while the red one got up to relocate to her bedroom. She felt like relaxing on her back while listening to her little friend snore. Wow, I guess he gave up on that minigame real quick. Atlas Mouth was a strange little program. Definitely not something either Kara or Connor could see themselves slaving away over. But hey, at least it didn't do anything to harm their fun. And there you have it. That was Atlas Mouth, a Vore-themed parody story of the Atlas Earth app. So, overall thoughts. I know I kind of voiced some criticisms I had, and it's far from a perfect story, but in reality I found it a pretty fun and enjoyable read back when I first read it, and even now it's quite endearing. I didn't catch the first time that Tiana was kind of treated not very good here for some reason, but I guess you're not really supposed to look into it too much. If you feel like supporting D1313, the original artist, I'll post a link to the story in the description. Be warned though, he has far more risque stories on his page, but you won't be able to see them unless you have the NSFW option enabled in your settings, so you should be generally good. So, what were your guys' thoughts? How well do you think the story emulated Atlas Earth? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and reactions in the comments. Also, would you like this sort of reaction content in the future? I kind of took a risk with this video since it's a little bit of a weird nature, but I promise if I do any more of this in the future, it'll all be taken lightheartedly and for no other purpose than silly fun as well as appreciating the work that the artists put into their creations. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I guess that's all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm of course me, Sinyx Pipe Dream, and I hope to see you all in another one of my videos. Take care everyone.